She explains when a group or individual endeavors to remove, restrict, or relocate an item within a public institution, they are both demonstrating their concern over the knowledge contained within the book and also exercising their symbolic power over the institution.
Look at that. It's a power play. Listen, it's not that I don't want this sexually explicit material in front of my young children. It's that I'm trying to challenge the institution. I'm trying to show my white patriarchal dominance over your institution. That's what's happening here.
This lady wrote a book called Trigger Warnings, History, Theory, and Context. It's supposed to be a collection of studies on whether trigger warnings are good or not.
Emily Knox is an assistant professor at the Graduate School of Library and Information Science at the University of Illinois. Library science. Wow. Interesting.
She serves on the board of the National Coalition Against Censorship. I mean, I'm against censorship, but I guess what are we defining censorship by?
Well, I mean, we don't let people put up advertising that's not labeled as advertising. Like even if there's ads and programs and stuff like that, you have to disclose that some sort of sponsorship is going on.
Well, okay. And I'd be curious to look in this National Coalition Against Censorship to see, like, are they actually against censorship, or is it woke garbage? Because if all I do is complain about, when a school, removes some book from its curriculum, that's woke. But they're utterly silent when someone gets, canceled off the internet or fired from their job because they said something that is perceived to be racist or transphobic. Then they're not really against censorship. So that's why I'm very curious. Are they like attacking Twitter, for not being an open platform and being too censorious, or are they completely silent on that?
I'm super doubtful that they are.
Well, that's what's sad, because I feel like all these organizations, which should be on the side of anti-censorship, they're not. They're just really on the side of anti-woke censorship.
Yeah, they're on the side of censoring conservatives and not censoring
generally. I don't know about this organization. Yeah. Maybe they are, but I'm curious to see if I can. Like, I'm looking on their Twitter page to see. I'm looking at the Twitter page, and all it's seeing is like they're complaining about books, like woke books being banned from school curriculums and stuff. I don't see anything about them complaining about like overzealous censorship on Twitter or Facebook or anything of that nature, which is a little sussy-wussy. I feel like that's a more important censorship than anything that's happening in some school curriculum somewhere.
I found a video online. What's so critical about intellectual freedom with Dr. Knox and Dr. Altman? It's very recent, so.
Is it long?
Yeah, it's an hour.
Oh, okay.
But I found it on Dr. Emily Knox Twitter.
On their Twitter page, it's just them. It's just this video, this Wisecrack video. It's just them complaining about books being burned in school. I don't see them complaining about any sort of, overreach of censorship that comes from the left whatsoever on this Twitter timeline.
Yeah,
so
no,
that makes me think it's bullshit. It's a bullshit organization. It doesn't really actually care about censorship or freedom of speech.
Right. They just want to make sure that critical race theory isn't banned.
Right.
Which is pretty typical these days, which is just, it's sad. I want factually correct information. So, and I understand that there are certain issues where, it's a moral issue. It's not really a scientific fact type issue. So the facts of abortion are going to be different for different people. But, we can make accommodations for that kind of situation. It's just there's too many situations where the information is claiming to be factual, like the gender ideology stuff that we just read the sample of, where it's just, it's not. It's just, it's not factually correct. yet it claims to be.
Well, at least on their website, I see they have articles from 2018 that are like they're promoting people that are saying that speech should be kind of a speech and not censorship. So at least that's good.
Okay.
Maybe it's just their Twitter page that's super woke.
Emily Knox.
Which wouldn't really surprise me that much, but I'm not looking at Emily Knox. I'm looking at just the organization.
Oh, I'm looking at Emily Knox.
National Coalition Against Censorship. I don't know what Emily Knox's Twitter page looks like. So,
in building her argument, Knox draws on Pierre Bourdieu to assert that challengers use symbolic power as citizens, parents, or taxpayers to shape public institutions in their community. She states that symbolic...
Is she not in favor of democracy or what? Like, what the fuck? That's the whole idea behind democracy. Of course you're using... She's saying, like, it's a bad thing that people are using the institutions to get the policy prescriptions that they desire. Yeah, that's the whole point of it.
Power draws on Pierre Bourdieu to assert that challengers use symbolic power as citizens, parents, or taxpayers to shape public institutions in their community. She's...
Yeah.
Wait,
and...
Wait, what?
Building her argument, Knox draws on Pierre Bourdieu.
I'm trying to look. Pierre Bourdieu?
Mm-hmm.
Pierre Bourdieu. Just to see, I'm curious if he's like
French guy, right?
Yeah. Well, obviously he's a French guy.
Well, I mean, what's the difference between a French and commie?
Yeah, there you go. Bourdieu's work was primarily concerned with the dynamics of power in society, especially the diverse and subtle ways in which power is transferred and social order is maintained across generations, in conscious opposition to the idealist tradition of much of Western philosophy. He's often emphasized the corporeal nature of social life. He built upon and criticizing the theories of Karl Marx, Freud, Weber, Durkheim, Strauss, blah, blah, blah. Okay, I don't know. What are you listening to?
I'm listening to my wife walk around and talk on the phone.
Okay. I just hear I thought you're like listening to like a second video in the background.
No. I found there's a thing here that says intellectual freedom and social justice, understanding the discourse of censorship. So definitely the censorship is around how do we get various social justice stuff through that's being probably censored on the fact that it's racist.
Right.
Yeah.
It says Emily Knox in her bio is a lover of Star Wars. I don't know if that means she likes the new Star Wars.
Oh, no.
Let me see if I can do a Twitter search. If she talks about liking the new Star Wars, then she should be canceled if she likes Star Wars, the new Star Wars.
Well, there's a bunch of stuff on her Twitter.
Mm-hmm. No, she only has one tweet about Star Wars. It's from 2011. Sad. Anyway.
To assert that challengers use symbolic power as citizens, parents, or taxpayers to shape public institutions in their community. She states that symbolic power is important because it is often misrecognized as something else, such as common sense or justified actions.
I see. So,
if the library...
But this is so fucking stupid, though, because Democratic... Like, are you a fucking Democrat or what?
Well, what they're saying is they're complaining. They're like, oh, these, concerned parents, they're using like this fake authority of pretending like they're speaking for the common people when they don't.
Well,
that's how they're
what
framing
is what is a Democratic majority if it's not the common people?
Well, I'm assuming part of the argument is that that's not really part of the majority. It's like a fake majority. It's like
no,
the vocal
I would
minority.
argue that these school board elections are going to prove that it's not a vocal minority, that it is in fact a majority.
Well, I don't know if I agree with that. Well, first of all, I agree with you that the majority of people, if they were polled, don't want their kids learning about like sex shit in school.
Yeah, of course.
That's I agree with that. But I don't think school board elections are representative of that because I don't think the majority of people know or vote or care about anything related to those. So.
Well, I think they are going to vote because it's become like a thing. It's reached into the cultural zeitgeist now, especially because of the pandemic.
Now more than ever, but still, I can bet you that it's still going to be super low compared to like normal elections or
The voter turnout for school board?
Yeah.
Look, if people are turning out at school board meetings to bitch about these books, you don't think they're
it's going to be
vote?
higher than it's ever been, but still going to be pretty low compared to other stuff.
Right.
I would wager.
Right. Look, you're just if you're a Democrat who votes in school board election, you're just a big faker. Pretending to act like you speak for the status quo when really, or you speak for the majority or the common man when really it's Emily Knox who speaks for the common people here.
Banned a book by Toni Morrison, then, well, she must be dangerous. Bourdieu defines symbolic power as those symbolic instruments, including discourse, that are used by one social...
Look at that. Discourse. There's the word right there.
The
discourse.
Group to dominate another social group. And
I love the fact that they frame it in terms of domination. The people who are forcing sexually explicit material on your children are the ones going, "Stop dominating me, dude." It's like, fuck off already, right? Who's dominating who here?
And according to Knox, censorship also highlights a struggle for domination over who has the authority to determine the boundaries of legitimate and illegitimate knowledge in the public sphere.
That's called democracy. What is wrong with these people?
Is to say, when the lived experiences of an indigenous American child growing up on a reservation aren't considered legitimate knowledge, the age-old domination of white Americans over...
Look at that. He's like completely ignoring the gender ideology stuff and goes straight to the indigenous people, the thing that nobody cares about. Nobody's going into these school board meetings and going, "How dare you tell this compelling story about an indigenous person living on a reservation?" Nobody's doing that. He's completely gaslighting his audience. Nobody is saying those things.
Over indigenous people only becomes more deeply entrenched, and their exclusion from many facets of American society are only reinforced. That's because books, like all cultural artifacts, play a vital role in helping us construct a sense of who we are, not least of which when the ideas they contain are reinforced by authority figures, i.e. teachers. French philosophy...
Yeah, that's why we don't want to put books that just have a bunch of nonsense in it. Would you want creationist books in the library and the whole next generation to grow up being religious fundamentalists?
No.
Is that what you want?
But that's why this is also so dishonest, because they wouldn't, they're fine with banning books that teach creationism in the classroom.
Yeah,
which I'm fine with too. But then they freak out when it's like, when it's their weirdo ideology.
What is different between gender ideology and creationism? I literally don't see any difference.
Right. Yeah. Both unscientific trash.
Yeah.